Today I'm heading to Hard Summer Festival. I thought I would show you a little get ready with me to create this look because as I was starting to get ready, I was thinking a lot about my sobriety journey, so I thought we'd chat a little bit about that, show you my makeup routine. Everything that I'm using is vegan and cruelty-free. Most of it is non-toxic and clean as well. Let's get right into it. Let's get into base products. I have this Alpin lip mask all over my lips just to prep while I do all my skin stuff. Underneath the foundation and the concealer I have on, I put on an SPF, which is going to be so important for being outside all day. I use the Crave Beauty Beat the Sun. And then on top of that, I put on the Milk Hydro Grip Primer just for extra strength because it's going to be a long day. We've got Kosas Creamy Concealer underneath the eyes and kind of in like my T-zone area. And this Tower 28 tinted sunscreen is going to be my base foundation. So I've been wanting to film a video like this for a long time, but to be honest, I've been breaking out a lot because my hormones, my period have been a little bit irregular lately, which isn't always great. And then I just decided, fuck waiting, we're gonna just film a video anyway because skin fluctuations happen to almost everyone I know, except for the handful of you out there with perfect skin all the time. But I just feel like the format of doing your makeup opens me up to feeling comfy like I'm on FaceTime with a friend, because I feel like it's a very girlfriend thing to do where you're like hanging out with girls before you go to dinner or like you're getting ready together, and I just feel comfy like I'm on FaceTime with a friend. So I figured what better time to chat about some things that have been on my mind. And lately I've been thinking a lot about sobriety because I've met a lot of people recently that are either on a sobriety journey or kind of sober curious or deciding that they want to cut down on their drinking as they get older. I'm 28 now, so I feel like a lot of my friends are kind of approaching that age more and more. I think what's cool is that a lot of my friends know, obviously, that I've been sober for a really long time and that I continue to stay sober, and I can be almost like a helpful resource, or at least a safe friend that they know is not going to pressure them into drinking, or a friend that they can hang out with and know that drinking or using substances is not going to be part of the equation. And I feel like that's become more and more rare. There's nothing wrong with, you know, drinking if it's something that you can manage healthily and you don't have an addiction to. Addiction is quite literally a disease, and so for certain people like myself, there's no such thing as balance or moderation with alcohol and drugs. I just can't do it. And for others it's possible, but I will say one of the biggest things if you're trying to change a habit like that, especially one that is so socially accepted like drinking, and I feel like drugs even has become so normalized, that it's hard to kind of change your habits or your lifestyle when everyone around you is doing it because it's the norm, it's available, it's what everyone else is doing. And so it's not to say that you have to have a new set of friends when you're trying to make a life change like that, but I think it can be helpful to have at least one friend where you feel like you can be your real self and not have to worry about external pressures or societal norms. Because believe it or not, it's actually a weirder thing in society to not drink and partake in using substances than it is to drink. Like, for some reason we've normalized drinking and using substances so much to the point that when someone isn't drinking, even a server is kind of like, what? You're not drinking? And like takes away your wine glass, or people will sort of ask as if something's wrong. Like, you can't just not want to drink for a night. It has to be because you have to almost have an excuse, I feel like sometimes. I'm breaking out right now and this is really bothering me, but I don't think there's anything I can do to hide that. So I'm gonna use this Merit Beauty bronzer stick. Looks like this. I like to put it onto a brush and then put it on. All this to kind of say that it's been a little bit more on my mind lately because I've been talking to a lot of people about it who are exploring it for the first time. And it's given me a little bit of time and perspective to reflect back on my sobriety journey. It's one of those things now that I feel like is such a normal part of me and that I don't really think twice about. But of course, as it's been coming up a lot more, you know, I've just had some thoughts lately, and going to this festival has definitely brought it up for me because this is really the first festival that I've been to sober. And I'm not gonna lie, I had a lot of nervousness around going and wondering how I was gonna feel and how it's gonna go. I mean, I still feel a little bit of that nervousness, I think, just because I'm putting myself back in an old environment in which I used to practice some really destructive behavior. I think I just keep reminding myself that it's about the music, it's not about the drugs. Like, yes, there's a huge presence of drug and alcohol, substance use culture related to a lot of different music genres, but it doesn't mean that you have to partake to enjoy a festival. Like, these festivals are centered around music, not the drinking and all of that, and I hope that I can kind of build up my confidence in dealing with situations like this, because more recently than ever I've been to like clubs, on bachelorette trips for some of my friends' weddings also. I feel like that's another heavy drinking environment. I feel like it's forced me to kind of confront a lot of my fears. Next, I'm gonna take this Say blush. I've been using this forever. This is the Dew blush in the shade Chili. Look at how pretty that color is. Also, it's starting to get so hot because I'm filming with the AC off so that it sounds better. As I was saying, I started thinking a lot more about my sobriety, and I feel really grateful that I got a lot of it out of my system when I was younger. If you go back on my YouTube channel and watch my sobriety story, which I kind of want to update, everything started for me at quite a young age, and I've never really opened up too much about some of the events that led up to my drug and alcohol abuse. But a lot of it really did have to do with wanting to cope with a lot of pain that I was experiencing at a young age, and it's almost like dissociating because you just don't want to feel. You want to escape your reality, which for a lot of people is a shitty situation, a negative experience, a traumatic experience, and I haven't really ever opened up about that because I still think it affects me pretty deeply to this day. Literally starting to sweat. I better get used to it though, it's gonna be hot today. Next is a little nose contour, and I picked up this product which I've never used before. I don't know if it's non-toxic per se, but I know it's cruelty-free and vegan. It's the e.l.f. Halo Glow Beauty Wands. I bought this at CVS because really friendly person there told me that they were flying off the shelves like hotcakes and that I should try it. And I have wanted to try the Charlotte Tilbury one, but I thought, why not try a similar dupe at a drugstore price first to see if I even like the tool and the application. Eyeshadow brush, because I'm going to use the same one later, and I just kind of like blend it in a little, and that's basically it for my nose contour. A few months ago I had a conversation with two of my friends, and we were kind of talking a little bit about why I feel this sense of urgency to like do things with other people and always do right by someone, even at the cost or expense of myself and my peace. And I realized that a lot of it really has to do with this guilt that I feel for the person that I was back then. I obviously did a lot of things when I was still an addict that were pretty negative. Addiction is a very selfish disease, as is an eating disorder. It's very centered around yourself, getting your fix, controlling your appetite. And I know I did a lot of things that were very out of character for me at that time that I feel badly about, because I feel like some people will only ever know that version of me and don't know me now, and that makes me really sad, but there's nothing I can do about it. Just gonna set my face with the One Size powder. I really love this. This is my friend Peter's brother's brand, and it's so good. I've never really used powder before, but I love this, and it definitely makes my makeup last a lot longer. Like I was saying, I feel like I have a lot of guilt around the way that I might have treated people, or the version of me that people know from my past, and a lot of people don't even know that I had a problem with drugs and alcohol. And I think that's part of it too, is because obviously if they follow me now, and some do, and it's kind of embarrassing sometimes for them to kind of see me pouring my heart out about my past without really knowing the current version of me. But really in some people's minds, I was just a terrible person at the time. And not to say that drinking or substance abuse or, you know, disorders of any kind are an excuse for behavior that's bad, but I do think that it allows the opportunity to consider that I was acting out. It's not just my character and who I am as a person, and that really eats me up sometimes. It's something that still sits with me today, but I also actively work on trying to let it go because it's not healthy for me to obsess over things like that, you know? Base is pretty much set. We don't have too much left to do. I need to hurry up actually because I'm running out of time. I'm gonna prime my eyes with this About Face eyeshadow primer. Anyway, I feel like we all kind of know that hurt people, but there's a lot that I just wish I could have changed in the past, and at the same time I'm really grateful for everything that I experienced, because I don't think that I would be who I am today without my past experiences. And I know that sounds so cliche, but I really mean it, because I don't know that I would even be vegan. A lot of my whole healing journey has led me to this place of also caring about my health and community health and wellness and well-being and the environment and just things other than myself, really, you know? It's funny, I think I cared a lot about myself in the sense that I was selfish, but I didn't actually care for myself. Didn't care if I lived or died some days. Obviously was not concerned with my well-being at any point in those past years of my life. Also, I realized I skipped this and I forgot to film, but I did my eyebrows. All I use is this gel, and I just brush them up and then like lay them down flat into the shape that I like. I always like to keep my shadow pretty simple because I'm very bad at doing eyeshadow, and yeah, I don't feel like I have much real estate to work with to do fun looks. So we're gonna use the Ilia eyeshadow palette. It's pretty neutral. This is like what the interior kind of looks like. But before we do that, I just kind of want to warm up some of my base because I looked in the mirror and I realized that a lot of it got washed out. We're just going to add back in some powder bronzer and blush into all the areas that we bronzed and we blushed before powder. The powder kind of mutes it a little bit. I might need to reconceal my lower cheek area that's been breaking out at the end of this look. I don't really know whether I would be here today. I don't know that I would have ended up working for myself even, because I feel like I'm the person to play it safe. I think it takes a lot of confidence to break the norm and try to work for yourself. There's a lot of negatives, and while I think I've always had a pretty entrepreneurial personality, I also really like reassurance and playing things safe. I like to feel safe because there are a lot of things that when I was younger made me feel very unsafe, and I really look for comfort and safety, and that's why I'm not a confrontational person, and it's easier for me to be a people pleaser sometimes because I'd rather do that than have to kind of confront, even if it's better for me. I think that mental illness really changed the trajectory of my life path. Like, a lot of people don't know this, but the real reason why I quit my corporate job and ended up doing this full time was because I was falling back into a lot of my addict behavior because I wasn't sleeping enough. I ended up in an industry where you just hustled really hard and the hours were pretty terrible, and it just wasn't good for my lifestyle. There's a lot of things that I need to do for myself to maintain my foundation and my base so that I don't fall back into negative habits and sort of fall back under the influence of my mental illnesses. It's like any disease, right? Let's say you're living with cancer, even though that might sound like an extreme comparison. There are a lot of things that you need to do on a daily basis that may be so much more important for you than they would for the average healthy person. And likewise, when you're somebody that struggles with mental illness, whether that's depression, anxiety, eating disorder, behavior, addiction, there are a lot of things that you got to do to make sure that your home base is stable. When you're not, let's say you're tired, you're malnutrition, you're under eating, under sleeping, not moving your body regularly, you kind of start to get into that negative mindset and you become a lot more vulnerable to falling back into your old coping mechanisms and habits. So I feel like a lot of the things that I do now are obviously because, yes, I am passionate about health and wellness, but part of that reason is because I had no choice but to become passionate about it in order to heal and maintain a lifestyle of sobriety. The makeup is getting there. We're gonna do the eyeliner next, and I use this Kat Von D tattoo ink liner. It's waterproof. On a regular basis, I use this one size waterproof liquid liner that's brown, which I actually prefer because it looks more natural, but for today we're gonna go for a little bit more dramatic. And actually I'm gonna do my mascara first, but I need to do this off camera because, as you may know, I use one of these mascara guards to save my eyelids from any mascara slips. I also have already curled my lashes, but you can look at my other YouTube videos doing my makeup to see what my routine is with that, because there's a special way that I curl them to get them nice and straight up, even with thick, very straight, downward facing lashes. This is the mascara that I've been really loving lately. We gotta speed this up, but the whole reason why I was kind of excited about today was because I really wanted to challenge myself to enjoy old experiences. So far I've been to like a bar in Tulum for my friend's bachelorette, and it was perfectly tame, and I think part of it is just making sure that if you're gonna surround yourself with a friend group that isn't on the same page as you, it's most definitely going to be a little more challenging if that's the goal of the night. Like, if the goal of the night or a day out or whatever is to get effed up, yeah, it's gonna for sure be a little bit more challenging to be the only one not with that same goal in mind. But then it just requires you to be really confident in who you are, and a lot of the things that I'm kind of into, like being vegan and not drinking, kind of go against the grain as is. So I feel like I've had a decent amount of practice with sort of being the odd one out in some ways. But of course it doesn't change the fact that it's absolutely more difficult to stick to sobriety, and when everyone else you're around is completely committed to doing the exact opposite. I also think it's important to say though that if you're new to sobriety, maybe you don't need to go to a rave right away. If that is a triggering environment for you and you don't think you can handle it, like, it's okay to just hang back for a little bit. When you get an injury as an athlete, you don't immediately try to race or compete again. You take a breather, right? And you focus on that recovery first before you get back into it. So could be the same situation. Of course, I wouldn't say get back into addiction like I just did about working out or sports, but hopefully you guys know what I mean. I forgot to mention, but this is the lip liner that I use, Refi. finishing touches with a little bit of blush. I'm using the One Size palette. Gotta be subtle with this stuff because this is a very pigmented blush. I have these gems that I'm going to put in my hair, so I'm going to put some on my eyes too. I think the gems are really going to spice up the look a little bit because I'm keeping it pretty simple. I actually don't know if I really like them on the eyes. I'm going to curl the 2 front pieces of my hair and then I'll be right back. Right now I don't have too many highlights left over. Most of them kind of got cut off, so most of them have grown out and I haven't gotten my color retouched in a long time. So you can't really see as much definition in my hair as far as like the curls go. That's one thing I've definitely noticed. I don't think my hair has really been this dark for a really long time. It goes without saying that obviously I'm still sober despite having experienced a lot of environments for the first time in a long time, like a club and a bar and, you know, a bachelorette party and all of that. So obviously it's been fine. It kind of gives me some extra confidence to be able to navigate these environments again as a sober person and leave and feel very accomplished knowing that, hey, I can actually do it. And it's not this scary, awful thing. Being at a club is not going to ruin my sobriety all of a sudden or completely destroy my willpower as a sober person. This is a little hair blinger that I'm going to try for the first time and we'll see how it goes. Oh, fun. As the finishing touches, I'm gonna put the gems all over me, just kind of haphazardly. Just a little bit of shimmer, and the nails match perfectly too. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is the final look. I'll put in a little bit of footage from the festival, but I can't even play any of the music in the video, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see another get ready with me or more makeup content, let me know, because it's not something that I do very often, but is always really fun for me. Alright, I'll see you in another one soon.